Brandon Marshall, my friend, we hand the reins over to you. Take us through the keys to the game. How do the Ravens take down the league's last undefeated team?
So are you guys messing with me? We're back with the Jets jersey. What happened to the Bears jersey? Put the Dolphins jersey. What are you guys doing right now?
We've got
the Jets jersey. You demanded the Jets jersey,
I got a lot to say.
Yes.
Yeah, you did.
Yes, you did.
All right, look, listen. So you guys know that I picked the Pittsburgh Steelers to make it to the Super Bowl and lose to the Seattle Seahawks. So this is a big game for our boys. But for the Baltimore Ravens to get a win, here are the keys to their success, starting with Lamar Jackson in this offense. Lamar Jackson has to be 75% completing his passes with 0 interceptions. Last year, Nick, 3 interceptions. He had accuracy issues, and he struggled reading coverage. So it starts with Lamar Jackson. Number 2, what these wide receivers have to do, they have to get yak. Do you know what yak is? I'm sure you do. Yards after the catch. I need 100 yards after the catch because this defense do a phenomenal job of eliminating the big play. So we need to see slants and bubbles going for 15 yards, 20 yards, hell, taking it the distance. That's the way you're going to win this game. Because look what they did last week versus the Tennessee Titans and Derrick Henry stopping the run. This is what you do well. They're going to take that out. So you guys, if you want to win this game, you have to be efficient and you have to be really good in the passing game with yards after the catch. And the last thing, going to the defensive side, these guys thrive in chaos. They throw so many complex blitzes and disguises at you. So what you have to do is confuse Big Ben and not yourself, because the way they play defense sometimes backfire on them and they give up the big play. And Big Ben will expose you if you give him the opportunity. So this week, super simple. Those 3 things: Lamar Jackson, 75% throwing in the air, 0 interceptions, 100 yards yak, and confuse Big Ben and not yourself.
It's great. All right, so I find all this really interesting, Brandon, and I think the Lamar stuff is probably the biggest key to this game, because an underrated storyline this season is quite simply Lamar's regressed from last year, particularly throwing outside the numbers, where he's had no success whatsoever. But what I find most interesting about your keys is you usually approach the keys from a what the underdog must do to upset the favored team perspective. I don't think the Ravens are the underdog in this game. And not only are they not the Vegas underdog, I don't think they, even on a neutral field, necessarily would be the underdog. Baltimore has flown under the radar entirely this season. It's as if people watched them on national television get beat up by the Chiefs and they just wrote them off. The problem is, aside from that Chiefs game, not only have they won every game, aside from that Chiefs game, they have had 17-point fourth-quarter leads in every game. Now, Philly came back in garbage time. It wasn't quite garbage time. Philly came back to make it a game ostensibly late. But Baltimore has annihilated its competition. Its defense, I believe, is better than last year. Its running game is nearly as good as last year. So why are they not being discussed as much? The answer, I think, is because Lamar's yards per game are down. His yards per attempt are down. His completion percentage is down. His passer rating is down. And he isn't having the wow plays through the air that he had last season to go along with the consistent wow plays with his legs and wilds. That, to me, is going to be potentially the deciding factor of this game. Nobody can run on Pittsburgh. Derrick Henry couldn't run on Pittsburgh. No. Nobody can run on Pittsburgh. And Mark Ingram's banged up a bit. Is Lamar going to be able to take advantage of the fact they don't have Devin Bush out there in the middle calling signals for him and beat a team through the air, which honestly he hasn't done or hasn't had to do since week 1 this season?
Yeah, I mean, I think people are underrating, or properly rating, I would argue, the Ravens, because where's the big win? Where's the big win that I'm pointing to that I'm like, the Ravens, they're so good. They had the chance against the Chiefs and they blew it. And we all watched that big Eagles comeback. So I'm not impressed with a win over Washington or Cincinnati or Texans who end up firing their coach. So I'm not a believer in the Ravens.
Browns win's
Brandon,
pretty good.
The question for you, the what win?
No, it's average.
The Browns win, week 1. That's a pretty, I mean, they annihilated a team that's 5-1 since. But I think Wilds. No, Wilds. I'm not trying to undercut you. I think what the problem there is, it happened before you knew the Browns were a good team.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from First Things First, or go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.